So I believe we have Aaron right here. How do you guys help train critical thinking skills? This is all Russ. All right, hold on. All right, so you know what, Russ? You read the question, man, because your face just lit up. You heard the word critical. So, Russ, can you read the question, please?
Okay, so how do you guys train critical thinking skills for frontline officers? To bring non-confrontational and/or overly aggressive officers to a good working balance.
Ooh.
Okay, so one of the things I always talk about is critical thinking skills and complacency, right? And what I want to do is I want to give these skill sets to officers to be able to, make their department, make their little unit, their facility, all that much safer. And the way you do that is by bringing these, critical thinking skills to the forefront and teaching officers how to think about those things which may not be apparently obvious that can really impact an incident. One of the things that I've taught a lot about in the past, just as a real quick example, is I used to ask people. I said, "Okay, so you're in your unit, and you're doing a search, and you come across an inmate manufactured grappling hook and some sheets, and right at that moment, you see the two inmates who this particular cell belongs to." And you stop them and get them in cuffs. What do you do next? And invariably, man, all these people, man, they just jump straight to, go into the whole thing with regards to, a crime scene and taking pictures and all of these things like that. I tell them, you know what? You've fallen for it. You're not thinking critically. We don't know that an escape already hasn't happened, and these guys just weren't in position to be part of it. And so, and that's one of the things I've talked about with Anthony before when we did the whole keys scenario. What do you do when keys are missing? And people, all the time, they jump right to that easy thing. Oh, well, we found them, right? Well, no, we have to do staff accountability. We have to make sure that no one's hurt. We have to make sure that nobody's missing. We have to make sure that, no inmates have gotten into areas and done other things that have potentially impacted the safety and security of our institution. So with that being said, is you want to develop scenarios. And the biggest one that I always preach about is that what if game, right? Ask yourself, what if this happens? What do I need to take into account? And is there something that I'm missing? Am I only looking at the obvious? Because it's easy to answer the things about the obvious, right? It's not so easy to figure out about what else might have gone wrong, what else might be impacted, how else safety, security, and even lives that might be in danger at that moment, simply because you haven't been able to think things all the way through. So that's what I would go there with you. What if? Play that what if game and decide what you need to do in any given scenario, all the way down to the end of, providing medical care or whatever it is. But don't miss those things where you're in the middle of a critical incident and you don't even know it. You could be in the middle of that critical incident and think it's just something light, it's something easy, because you haven't had the foresight to see beyond your own blinders that we put on all the time. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. Got a couple of videos that we've done with Tier Talk on that very subject. You're muted. I got you again. You're muted.
That's crap, man. You just took a shot. You didn't know if I was muted or not. You took a shot. I didn't get a word out. I saw it. I hate it.
That's what someone forward thinking like me that can read into the situation and see the critical incident and the critical thinking skills is able to do.
Dude, I'm admin. I make mistakes all the time. Hey guys, so I want Steve to touch on this, because as you can see, Russ is very passionate about critical thinking, because in my opinion, critical thinking is what saves lives. It kind of keeps you on your toes. I think the gentleman in the comments said it kind of helps you with the what if, because I think it just helps prepare you. It gets you in the right mindset when you're in, and then, it's something that is of value in our profession, but it's not always easily taught. I think it's something that, is really a strong gift. But because I know some people that they just can't do it. It's not in them. But Steve, what's your thoughts on the importance of critical thinking?
Oh man, it starts day one with field training. You know, me as a field trainer, and it showed because it's reflected off the officers who I trained, who are now field trainers at my former agencies. From day one, I came up with all sorts of scenarios. And hey, Anthony, your phone's ringing. But I would come up with different scenarios, and if I came across a situation where I noticed something was going to break out, I seen two inmates arguing, and I had my trainee with me, I would say, hey, you know, or even the officer would address me, hey, I think they're going to fight. All right, well, let's sit back. If it's safe, let's look at this. What are you going to do? If they start fighting right now, what are you going to do? You know, is it fight or flight? I need to know what my guys are going to do. Because fight or flight is a quick decision in a jail. You know that. One wrong decision could be your life, not the inmate's life, but your life. Are they setting this up for me to go over there and break it up, and they're going to jump me? So I don't want a hothead just running over there to break something up, go hands on, when really they're setting it up to get him or her. It happens all the time. So from day one in training is where I start that critical thinking. Most time it was night shift. We go through scenario based. You know, all right, if fire breaks out, what you going to do? You're just conducting a security round. You come up on this cell, that guy's hanging. What are you going to do? So all these things you want them to run through their mind, because eventually, the longer they stay, it's going to happen. And it does. It happens. It's the nature of the beast. It's the job that we live in or that we work in. So training is vital when it comes to that. And I stress to every FTO, even the ones that I've trained as officers who are now FTOs, they're doing the same training. And they're like, man, it helps. It gets these guys thinking, gets their brain thinking. You know, you don't know what you're going to do until you come across it, but at least you've thought the process through. You've played it out. So,
yeah, guys, there's a lot of idle time also in correction. So I think when you start understanding, when you start understanding what you're doing, the layout, a lot of it comes from also evaluated experience. You know what I mean? So you may not be able to have that critical thinking when you first get into the profession. But as you start, I like what Steve said, as you start going through it day by day. Now, by the way, experience is one thing. Evaluated experience is where you want to be. That's how I think we're in the positions that we're in. By the way, the people in this dialogue that, asking these questions, they're evaluating something. So a lot of guys says, well, I may have 25 years experience. And what does that mean to me? It doesn't mean nothing to me unless you tell me that you've evaluated everything you've been through. So I think that as you grow in this profession, you kind of go through certain situations, and then when you have a chance to think about it, you evaluate what could have happened and you really sit down and evaluate. You talk it out with your people, and then you kind of build these, different ways to solve situations that will increase in that mindset. So if you're going through these experiences and not really thinking about it, just, not even discussing it, then you're losing out on the best part of the experience, which is the evaluation part. And to me, I think that's why some of us become, really good at critical thinking, because we have a habit of really looking inwards and just kind of understanding the situation and then how we ourselves react to that situation. And by the way, like with Russ and Steve, these guys worked in active facilities. They have gotten involved. That's why they're able to not only just have that strong mindset, but they have experiences that I'm sure they have gone over and over and over. That's why even with this panel, we're not afraid to answer any questions, because every time we went through something, each one of us, when we had a chance, would sit down and just ruminate, and guys, we're not even afraid to say, what if it went backwards? What if it wasn't so successful? What if I didn't do it this way? So again, guys, the key for critical thinking is you're going to get experience, but you have to evaluate. This is something that doesn't come passively. It doesn't. You have to this is intentional. Critical thinking, if you want to strengthen your critical thinking, it is intentional. That way, if it's intentional, I think people can learn to do it. But it's not something that you're going to walk in without any effort and be good at it. And that's just my opinion on that.